How's it going? Just waiting for the audio check here. Another day, another stream. You know what it is? Hold on a second there. Okay, yeah. You got to do that every time. My first year I did this, it was a lot of audio problems, so now I'm nervous and I always feel like I need to check it a whole bunch. Okay, here we go. We're going to do some homework 2.5 here today, and should be pretty quick and easy, I hope. Oh, this isn't my 2.5 though. Hold on a second. This is somebody else's 2.5. That was their homework. I almost went back into that. Hold on, I gotta click the one, homework help. There we go. Password. Boop. Can't see that. Boop. Alright, now we back. 2.5, take 2. Here we go. So this whole assignment is doing absolute values. So there's going to be some basic stuff, probably, I guess. I don't know. And then it gets more advanced as you go along through these here. I need to open Paint. Perfect. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll just leave this open and click Paint like this. Oh, that'll be nice. Okay, cool. All right, I want to write this down on the tablet here. Assuming it works. Yes, okay. Oh, not the, here we go with the pen again. All right, the absolute value of u equals 3. There's really not work to do here. What this is asking you is how far from 0 are numbers on the number line such that they're 3 away. So, okay, that was maybe a weird way to say it. What numbers on a number line are 3 away from 0? That's what this is essentially asking you. And there's 2 answers. And with all absolute value equations, with some rare exceptions, there's probably going to be 2 answers. So here the answers are just 3 and negative 3. You can write it from least to greatest, or, well, I guess whatever order. You have to make sure you put both, though. They both apply. The absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. That's it. Okay. I don't know why I wrote that down. Here's another one with 8. The absolute value of what numbers make 8? The answers are 8 and negative 8. The only time you would pick something different here is if this number happens to be negative, like if v equaled negative 2. There is no absolute value that equals a negative number. So if it ever is an absolute value by itself on one side, equaling something negative, you would pick no solution. In this case, it's positive, so there is a solution. I hope one of these has no solution so I can show that to you. Oh, okay, well, sort of. So maybe your first glance is, oh, look, it equals a negative number. There might be no solution here. The thing is, on these problems, we have an absolute value and something else on the same side as it. And that something else on the same side can't be there. You can't decide if it's solvable or not till you've done that step. So here we go. We got absolute value of x minus 10 equals negative 6. So I have to get the absolute value alone. So the way we do it is just like normal undoing the steps operations. Add 10 to both sides. You get the absolute value of x equals 4. And now you can split it into the 2 answers. 4 and negative 4. I'm sorry. I'm trying to write so closely. The pen is... I'm just constantly pushing the button on the pen. I used to have that setting turned off. Like, I can't change it anymore. I'm sad. Alright, another one. Another similar one. Now, you'll notice on these ones there's addition or subtraction possibly happening, and that's the thing you need to undo. Yours could be multiplication as well. Oh my gosh, that was the worst absolute value sign on the planet. Alright, so on this one I'm going to subtract 6 first. That leaves me with the absolute value of w, which equals 9. And then you can go right to your 2 answers, 9 and negative 9. That was a quick 4 problems. What have we been? We've less than 5 minutes. All right, these ones that we're going to do from now on are probably more likely what you're likely to see. And you'll notice each of the 4 I just did had 2 answers, and each answer was the opposite of the other one. That's not always the case, and that's not very likely to be the case. You're more likely to see these kinds of problems. So what you want to do on these problems is first make sure the absolute value is by itself. Okay, mine is. Then you check, is it equal to a negative? Mine's not. If it had been equal to a negative, I'd choose no solution, but mine's okay. So if it's good to go and able to be solved, you need to do two separate problems. I would do 4x plus 8 equals 4. 4x plus 8 equals negative 4. You need to write the same thing essentially, but you're flipping the number on the right side. Okay, then we got a minus 8 on both sides. And if I do that to the left equation, it's fair game to do it to the right equation at the same time, just to save, I mean, you're doing the same process, so might as well just write it twice. So 4x equals negative 4, because 4 minus 8. And over here we're going to get 4x equals negative 12, because negative 4 minus 8. These each need to be divided by 4. That gives me x equals negative 1. And over here when I divide by 4, that gives me x equals negative 3. Yes, the answers can be both negative. They could be both positive. They could be one positive and one negative. And as you'll notice, they're not the same kind of number. It's not like 1 and negative 1. Never solve it once and just assume the other answer's going to be like the opposite. That only was the case on those early ones where it just had x inside. But when you have other things happening to the variable, that's not going to happen like that. All right, a similar one. I will write out my work here. 3 viewers. Hey, 2 other viewers. Hey. All right, that's going to look stupid on a YouTube video, that's for sure. But that's okay. All right, this equals 9. So it's all by itself, the absolute value. There's nothing to remove outside of it. 9 is positive, so that's good. That means it's able to be solved. So I'm going to write 3v minus 12 equals 9. And I'm going to write 3v minus 12 equals negative 9. And then we do the steps to solve. So here I need to add 12 first. 3v equals 21. I'll add 12 over here. 3v equals 3. Negative 9 plus 12 is 3. Okay, now I divide by 3. Do it on all of them. Ooh, that was a yucky 3, whatever. V equals 7, and here v equals 1. And there's the answers, 1 and 7. It just happened to be the case on all these that I had 2 positive answers and 2 negative answers. It could be one of each, I don't know. It just depends on the problem, I don't know. Alright, next one. Another one. Again, if any of these problems have a negative sign on it, that means there should have been no solution. Yours could have one. I mean, it randomly selects and it looks like on less likely occasions it gives you a no solution, but it is possible to get a no solution or problem. Again, my absolute value is alone. 15 is positive. Okay, that means I can split it up. So I get 5v minus 10 equals 15. 5v minus 10 equals negative 15. You add 10 to both sides, and you get 5v equals 25. And I'll add 10 to this one. 5v equals negative 5. Divide by 5, I get v equals 5. And over here, when I divide by 5, I get v equals negative 1. You can't see that because my face is in the way. Negative 1. There you go. Alright, so 5 and negative 1. 5, negative 1. Perfect. I do want to show you this. I wouldn't, back when we did regular solving stuff, I did show you how to use Desmos. Does it work like this? Nope. Okay, well, let me type ABS. I guess I'll click the button. I don't know what the shortcut to typing it is. On Desmos, I showed you how to graph and get the solutions. I am going to show you this here, just to show you. When you graph 5x minus 10 equals 15, it graphs 2 vertical lines. In the past, when you solved an equation without absolute values, it would make 1 vertical line for the one solution. The issue here is you can't click on it. On the old one, you could click on it and see where it crossed the axis. I don't know why, but on these ones it doesn't show. But you can see 5 and negative 1 is where it's crossing. Now that, of course, is a problem if you've got decimals or something like that, or like a fraction. What if the answer is like, I don't know, 7/15? You're going to know 7/15 is where it's crossing based on this little thing right here? Even I wouldn't know. I don't know. So I'm saying this is probably good to check, maybe a C if you have whole numbers or whatever, but not a great way to solve the problem by default, okay? All right, another one. Now we're slightly altering the problem here. Ooh-wee. So on this one, we have a negative 8, x plus 2 equals negative 56. Now, here's the deal. We can't, first of all, it's negative on the right, which makes you go, oh no, no solution. But actually, you can't make that decision until this is alone. And by alone, I mean just an absolute value. We have negative 8 not inside it, so we have to get rid of that. Now, you may need to add, you may need to subtract, you may need to multiply, possibly. But in this case, we need to divide, because this negative 8 is really multiplying to that group. So if I divide by negative 8, x plus 2 equals 7. And now we have a regular problem. Notice 7 is positive, so now it's good again. And now I can split this up and find the two solutions. X plus 2 equals 7, and x plus 2 equals negative 7. Minus 2. Uh-oh. This left one equals 5. And I don't want this to not be seen, so I'm going to draw a little arrow over here. X equals negative 9, because negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9. So we got 5 and negative 9. What you could do to, I said Desmos won't give you the exact answer. You could also use it to check your solution. So see how we said negative 9 is an answer? You could type in negative 8, absolute value, and then you type in the answer negative 9 in place of x plus 2, and then see what it equals. Does it equal negative 56? Well, that's what we want it to equal, so that confirms that it's right. And then if you want, you could take the negative 9 out, plug in a 5. It also equals negative 56, so that can confirm your answers are right if you want to do it that way. Alright, another one just like this last one. As I said, you may need to do some movement of some numbers first. The last one I divided. This one I will not be dividing. We got v minus 3 plus 5 equals 23. Here I need to remove this 5, so I'm going to subtract 5 first. You get v minus 3 equals 18. And then you write your two problems. V minus 3 equals 18. V minus 3 equals negative 18. You add 3 to both sides. V equals 21. V equals negative 15. Hooray. Nothing crazy there, just doing some work. 21, negative 15. One more problem. Woo. Does it have two things? No, back to one thing again. I didn't get a single no solution. I do know some students have gotten problems with no solution. So, I mean, be on the lookout for that. Could happen, could not happen, I don't know. The Alex algorithm decides what you get. Oh my gosh, pen. Okay, so we got negative 30 over here, but again, you got to keep in mind, you can't decide if it's unsolvable until you've removed everything. So I'm going to divide by negative 3. You get x plus 3 equals regular 10. Then you solve it two ways. X plus 3 equals 10. X plus 3 equals negative 10. You minus 3 on both sides. X equals 7. X equals negative 13. There you go. X equals 7. Negative 13. Hooray! That is it. That's the whole thing. So basically, the assignment was this. Let's go through the report real quick because there's a couple things. So we had some basic problems where all you need to do is consider which two numbers were, if you absolute valued them, was that. There's not really work to do there. It's just work. Although it does follow the strategy. You know how I kept splitting it into two problems at the end? This still works. You split this into two problems. You just literally write u equals 3, u equals negative 3. Oh, but that's it. That's the answer. You don't actually need to do any additional steps. You only need to do additional steps when there's stuff inside. So let's scoot ahead here. Now these ones, we want to split it into those two problems, but first we needed to move the exterior stuff. So we had a minus 10 to move here, so we added it. Here we had a positive number 6, we had to subtract on both sides. You may even see a number you need to divide out on both sides. I don't know. Then we saw some more regular problems where you have the absolute value alone and you have to split it into two parts, get two different answers. And unlike the earlier ones, these ones have two different numbers. It wasn't like 3, -3, 4, -4. No, it was these. And again, I never had any that said no solution, but you would pick that if you ever had an absolute value equal to a negative. That's not possible. I had a few more of those, sorry. And then the problems started getting a little more ramped up. At the end, we had problems where we had numbers outside the absolute value we had to move. So we needed to, like, we needed to divide by -8 on both sides. And then we had to do this something about this adding of 2, which meant we split it into two problems and worked it out. Like, I'll show you 10 because that was the work I have here. So, like, on this one, I divided by -3, which made -30 turn into 10. And then I just solved the two side problems. X plus 3 equals 10, and x plus 3 equals -10. And that's it. That's all you gotta do. You just gotta solve a couple of, simple problems. Alright, that's it. That was the whole thing. 16 minutes, boom, all done. So, homework 2.5 about solving equations with absolute values. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching it. Bye.